Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Coffee Club Podcast, episode 69. We're here today. Back shouting out the beans today. Ollie, where did we get our coffee beans from today?
Yeah, so my mum got these for Christmas.
For me? You got them for Christmas?
For me. So these beans are from Australia. They got a little cool little image on them of a bulldog. So my mum definitely thought it would fit very well into the Coffee Club Podcast, and we're going to shout her out. Thanks, Mum, for the beans. They're quite tasty, and I'm pretty sure we've almost finished them already. So yeah,
we're shouting out Katie for them because we weirdly don't know what company made them. So maybe we'll have to ask her where she bought them from. But they have a very cool image of Gus on the front. If you're watching the video, hopefully you can see that. But yeah, shout out to Katie.
Shout out to Katie.
Gus won't even look at it though. He's disgusted by this other bulldog at the table. Yeah, he's facing the other way.
He's a bit jealous by it.
He's very jealous. But so it's a Tuesday for us, which means this is what we like to refer to as the curse post long run episode. These two boys had a long run this morning. I didn't. And the reason it's called that obviously is because we're very tired after our long runs. So if possible, we try and avoid filming the episode on Tuesday. Some weeks we don't really have a choice. So yeah, boys, how are we feeling after a big, how far did we run this morning?
16 for George.
17 for Ollie. And we were pretty much, me and George thought it'd be fun to hurt ourselves and run with Joe the entire way. So
it's clicking miles the whole way.
Yeah, pretty much clicking miles the whole way. And I was pretty much at the back most of the time. I think I went to the front near like 8 to 9 miles thinking I could like contribute, and then I just realized I couldn't. Going up the hill, I think Joe just took control of it. But it's nice to have a teammate like Joe to kind of click off a really solid long run with. So yeah, but we're kind of feeling it. But I'm going to keep my energy amped. I'm going to say amped for this podcast.
Keep it going from the podcast, and then we crash.
And then we'll crash. Yeah. We'll crash as soon as
we're going to try and bring the energy. I was feeling pretty rough the last few hours. Curled up on the ground for a little bit, but Clicker will do that to you.
Yeah.
If you do want to run a fast long run, there's no better person to do it with. I feel like it's hard to make that decision in like the first half mile.
Because that's when you have to make it.
You have to be like, am I doing this or not? Yeah. You got to make that call so early.
Yeah, and then once you've made it, there's no going back.
No turning back. No.
If you're running 6-minute pace, you're not going to start running 6:30 pace. No. So yeah, if you make that decision early on, you're stuck with it. And I mean, I guess the run goes quicker in a way, but the pain is a lot higher. So it's that classic trade-off. But I knew that Joe was going to be feeling it today because we're supposed to get a really big snowstorm this evening and tomorrow. So there was a bit of a vibe yesterday in the gym of like, you got to make the most of running on the dirt because who knows? Because it's meant to snow and then be quite cold, I think. So maybe the snow will be around for a bit. So we'll be inside on the treadmill. So at least you guys got to make the most of that. Unfortunately, I wasn't there this morning because I was cross-training. I guess I wasn't going to talk about it like this early, but I guess I should say Morgan's got another injury, but it's like a small one. I guess this is what an injury is. I always in my head I call stuff niggles because then it doesn't make it seem like that. But a week ago today, this is the tragic story. I'll make it as...
It's tragic, but it's like kind of funny. It's like dark comedy.
It is funny. It is funny. I'll make it as like dramatized as possible. So last week, before the long run, I literally went to bed the night before it, and I've been dealing with a sore knee for 2 months now, something like that. And finally, it was in such a good spot. This is my left knee. I remember going to bed the night before the long run. I was like, oh man, it feels so good to like finally feel on top of my body, on top of this stuff, because like obviously, like any runner, injuries like stress me out, and trying to get on top of them is always like, you know, every day it can be difficult. And I finally felt like I had really overcome it and I was in a good spot with it. And I went to bed, I'm like, well, don't take this for granted. Like enjoy that your body feels good because you've been struggling for literally like 2 months now to get to this point. And then the next morning we turn up to the long run and
psyched to run quicker miles.
I was like so excited to go bang out a long run. I'd just been back doing some workouts and I was like feeling good, ready to get after it. And we pull up to the parking lot and I go to take a step out of Ollie's car, out of the passenger side, and I just fall like on a patch of ice that was there that I didn't see, like right next to the car. I just fall over, slam, hit the ground. I don't know what it was like from your perspective, Ollie, but from mine, like I literally don't remember falling because it happened so quickly.
No, it did happen quickly because like because I just got in from Australia, so this is my first run back as well. And we drive up and it's all pretty icy in the car park still. and we parked next to Sage, and Sage was out of the car, and I'm like looking down at my phone, about to take the Bluetooth off so I can take the key for the run from to lock the car, and then all of a sudden I look over and Morgan's like, I hear a thud, and I see Morgan like on the ground holding onto the door, just in disbelief that he's fallen over. And I didn't know if it was a joke. Like, I actually thought that Morgan might have done it like on purpose to like kind of make fun of it with Sage, but he actually did fall. And then and the ice it was pretty hard. It was like pretty much very, very much frozen ice.
Very much so frozen ice. Very hard. And I didn't
Not
really
soft at all.
I didn't really think anything of it, like, because it's just like you fall over you don't fall over all the time, but you don't think like it's really matters. And so my body was sore, but you don't think it matters. That like there's different types of pain, and I'm like, okay, well, my knee is sore because I just fell on it, and it doesn't matter to run on though. So I ran 17 miles, I think 16 or 17, and knee was sore, but it was cool. And then I ran on it for another couple of days, and then it got a bit more sore. But the whole time I was just like telling myself like, your knee like hurts because it's bruised, like, well, because you banged it, and so running on it is going to make it more sore, but it doesn't really matter. But then by like 3 days later, it was like really sore from running on, like, and I just realized like, oh, I have to take it easy. And now it's just been like hanging around for way too many days. So I'm just like, I have come to terms with it. So I'm doing everything I can to make it better. I don't want to make it seem like that big of an injury, because it's definitely not, but it's just so annoying to have something so silly happen. So this morning I went to the rec center to go aqua jogging, and I only went for 3 minutes because I stopped taking anti-inflams yesterday. So I think I can feel it a bit better, and I could feel it a bit aqua jogging. So I was like, well, if I can feel it aqua jogging, what's the point? So instead I did 3 minutes aqua jogging, and then I did 20 minutes in the hot tub, 20 minutes in the sauna. And I was like, sounds like a good morning.
It's basically 43 minutes.
Yeah. Honestly, I that's what I realized. I think when I was in the sauna, it was pretty hot in there. Me and the boys, like the rec center on a Tuesday morning it was like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. It's just all like old people, just hanging out there having a good time.
What the fuck are you
Did
doing?
you see Al on there?
Al? No. Actually, as an aside, I saw him like 2 days ago almost get hit. On his moped when he's pulling out onto the road. He was coming out of Riley Sports. Sorry, this is a random aside. This is our masseuse. He rides a moped everywhere, and he pulled out onto 28th Street, and like it was like in crazy traffic. It was so funny. So that's my most recent outside in the last 2 or 3 months. But no, it was me and the old folks chilling this morning. But yeah, my heart rate was so high in the sauna. I'm like, this has got to count for something.
Well, you're doing 3 minutes of active cross training and then 40 minutes of passive cross training.
So I like that term.
In general, you're cross training. Like
they didn't say.
I think you should put that in the log.
I like that term, passive cross training. We got to make that.
Oh, you've come up.
I've come a long way, haven't I?
You've come up with something good there.
That sounds so smart.
Yeah.
And what does it mean? I don't know what it means.
Passive cross training? Well, you're sweating and you're uncomfortable. Isn't that what cross training is about?
That's essentially
literally joked like
I don't know. I've never done it before. So,
I never cross trained. Well, I mean,
when you were swimming, it was proper training.
I mean, running was cross training for me when I used to swim. So
True.
Now I do my cross training is my full time gig. Yeah. But passive cross training for 40 minutes. Still cross training.
I'm happy with that. So
that's a terrible story, Mark.
Well, it's just like it's like so tragic and so funny at the same time, but it really has been bumming me out. But I don't know. I've just realized there's literally nothing. I always, I think. So I guess this is a good time because one of our Q&As was advice for being in a bad injury cycle, and I would say, like, we probably have some good advice for that. But one thing that is very relevant to me right now is I really dismissed it as being something real, in terms of I thought it was completely fine to run with. Like, there's a big mental switch between feeling pain that is fine to still run with, and then there's pain that's you come to realize this is bad pain. And initially I thought all the pain that I was feeling was kind of more that good pain where this is fine to run through. And I really screwed myself because every single day I would turn up and like I started running on the Ultra G, and every day I would just be like, all right, it's going to feel fine today. Because I really like didn't think anything of it. I'm like, all right, it's going to be good. I'm going to be good to go. And then there was just like big disappointment every day so far. So like my advice is probably not to do that, because now I've come to terms where it's like, okay, I really don't actually know how long it's going to be sore for. Like I don't think it'll be that long, but I definitely have to not get my hopes up and get disappointed every day, because that's no way to live.
I know the situation you're in though, when you, like the situations we've been in before in a running injury cycle. If like you're injured from running, then you know that running is going to make it worse. But if you do something totally unrelated to running, you're like, oh, there's no way running's going to make this worse. Like I injured myself doing something totally unrelated. Like how could running?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Ollie, how did your?
Oh yeah.
Similar story.
I forgot about that. I thought I ended my career before it began.
This is a throwback.
That is a throwback.
This was
2 years ago.
This was before.
Pretty much almost 2 years ago, like to the day probably.
Yeah, this is before like. This is probably that was the race where like I kind of like popped off. I was running 3:32 in Staten Island, and right before, me and Carlos were juggling the ball in a very uneven backyard in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I went to go kick the ball. I slipped and I landed straight on my butt on this cement like kind of patch near the back of the backyard. And it literally, I thought I heard a crack. Like I landed straight on my coccyx. And people that know me and obviously laugh about it. I have no ass. Like I literally, like my ass is flat, so there's like no cushion
much
there.
padding.
There's not much padding.
padding.
There's not much padding to protect me from that. So I think Jason came down. I was getting treatment from Kip like 2 or 3 times a day. Like I was pretty convinced that my career was over.
Yeah,
That
was
why you went to JB too.
I went to John Ball.
The infamous John Ball.
That's when like he had to get his
Dig
assistant.
right up in the coccyx.
Yeah, he got it right in the coccyx area. I paid extra for that. And I remember him grabbing my legs, and his assistant, he's like, hey, like, because he's John Ball, if you've seen John Ball and like Geordie and Morgan, no, he's very quiet, but he was wearing a mask at the time, so it's even more quiet. But I would never forget what he said. Like never like spoken to him in my life. And his assistant, I had to get his assistant over to hold me down, because he said, man, you are so fucking tired. He's like looking straight in my eyes, and I was like, fuck, I'm sorry. But yeah, I was pretty much
it was a 2-person job.
Yeah.
It was a 2-person job to like try and stretch my hamstrings. But in general, like I was pretty convinced that like, oh, I don't know, like I was same position as Morgan. Like every day I'm thinking it's gonna get better and better. And then I remember like a workout very close to the race, I couldn't work out with you and Joe, and I was extremely frustrated and upset. And Dathan kind of just said to me, he's like, well, you're pretty fit anyway. Like I wouldn't stress about it. Like it's out of your control. Kind of good. It was a really good chat from Dathan, because like at that point I'd never dealt with something that would prevent me from running in a workout. Like I haven't really dealt with a lot of injuries or adversity in that regard. So like having an injury not related to running, I didn't think it would affect me in running, but it did. And eventually like there is a clip of me, a friend from back home sent it to me after the race, when I finished the race and I sat down on my bum and I said, fuck. Like really, and then you could just see it on the camera, and it was all over the news. So, but yeah, like that was something that I went through.
So hopefully I'll be running an Australian record in a couple of weeks is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I expect
that's the progression. No, but that does, what you guys both said does encapsulate it 100%. You don't think, I haven't respected it, because yeah, it came from something different. But I guess if your body's hurt, your body's hurt. So yeah, I'm just trying to get that better day by day right now. I just 3 minutes.
Where were we actually? Injury cycle.
Yeah. Advice for a bad injury cycle. Well, I would say, I mean, George has overcome a lot of injuries, and I'm kind of currently overcoming. I have overcome them in like a grander sense. I actually was talking, so we mentioned Jason a lot, our chiropractor, and he was here only a week ago, and he did say, like, it is a real thing that when you're injured for a long time and it does become a cycle, that your body is so much more vulnerable for kind of a long period of time, which really sucks, because it is very difficult to be patient. And so I injured my ankle really bad 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And Jason actually did see me not too long after that, like 2 months later. And I remember I saw him for the first time. He treated me. And then I'm pretty sure it was in California. And I'm pretty sure after I walked out, he like told you guys how fucked my body was. Yeah. Like he didn't tell me, because like that's, I mean, you don't really say that. But he was like, wow, like his body's like fucked. And so ever since that moment, because then I joined the team 3 months later or whatever, and I've been seeing him consistently. Like he tells me like how my body has progressed over time, but like literally over 2 years. Like it's been a very long period of time. So I think in like what I've learned, I guess, is that it does actually take a really long time for your body to build up and get robust. And my body is not nearly like as robust as I want it to be. And that's kind of like, in terms of when I like set goals and stuff right now, and I look at progression, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is to try and be a stronger, more robust runner, because I just lost so much of that from being in a big injury cycle. So for me, it's like the main advice is just to like be very patient, and I don't do this very well necessarily, but like whatever you think is like the right amount of training, like maybe even dial it back a little bit, because it's just the consistency over time is going to be so much more important. And probably the best person to talk about that is George, because if you look at, I don't know how much we've talked about on the show, we have a bit, but the amount of, like if you just compare how robust your body is now compared to 3 years ago or whatever, it's like a world of difference, right?
Absolute world of difference. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely talk the injury cycle a little bit. I was in a spot in college, pretty much, kind of maybe right before I got to the US, probably. So talking like back in 2015, I came onto the NAU team injured, didn't run cross country, pretty much always lower leg stuff. And I think the thing with a cycle is that you can get through one injury after another, but if you don't change what's actually causing the first one, like that's how you get stuck in, you know, what we're going to call like an injury cycle. And so I kind of just went, like, got through a couple with some pretty low training volume, like a lower leg one early, and then a couple of like reasonably mild stress reaction-y type injuries, and just kind of ongoing, because I couldn't get to the root of the problem. And I mean, it went through pretty much all of college. I made a little bit of progress kind of 4 years later to have one outdoor season out of 5. And then, but once I joined the team, I was still stuck in it a little bit. Joined the team with 2 stress reactions at the time, like moved to Boulder, not running. And then, you know, you get working with someone who you really believe in, like we do with Jason. And yeah, similar to Morgan's first treatment, like he just, the first weekend, he's like, dude, there's no hope for you right now. No, that's not what he said, but it's like, there's a good reason why you're stuck in this cycle. Like nothing is working. The patterns are all wrong. Like what you default to because of like certain weaknesses, or you're compensating for something, like everything you default to is just so wrong. Like your body is just wired to default to what will make you get hurt. And it's kind of your body doing its best to make up for what's going on, but without a lot of help. And it's impossible to get through that. So it took me, I started working with Jason summer of 2020, and I didn't get to a good spot until the last big injury I had was in Phoenix. That same day that Ollie couldn't work out with me and Joe, thinking he had a broken coccyx, I actually had a broken sacrum that day.
Yeah, you had a broken back.
Passed it on.
But since then, like that was kind of towards the end of the cycle, and that's coming up. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So that's actually like, that's wild to think about. I used to not be able to get through like, 6 weeks without something coming up. And so you just, if you can, I needed a lot of help from Jason pretty much. And now when he comes to town, like he can work through my body in almost one session and fine tune things. And like he can tell me how much stronger, like he's like, dude, your hamstrings, just for example, like your hamstrings compared to 2 years ago are like 10 times stronger. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, everything is just like working so differently. And it is like, it's a pretty good feeling knowing that you have that like ability to handle more training. And like I actually think about this sometimes in the fall. There was like days I'd like, the big workout or something, a couple of big runs, and I'd be like, man, I must be like an absolute wreck right now. Like, how am I going to run tomorrow? And then I would go on that run and be like, what? I actually feel like decent. How is this possible?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's all we do, to be honest, is try and get up. Like, I think we all understand that in order to race really well, we need to be able to train at an extremely high level. So all we're really trying to do in a very simplistic term is get our bodies to a level where they can sustain high level training.
Well, this is the thing that I wanted to ask George, is that you're coming from an AU program with Mike Smith, who's known notoriously for having a high, like double threshold kind of program. And you were seeing John Ball a lot in college. Would you not a lot?
I saw him like twice the whole time.
So you're just seeing the NAU like kind of people,
kind of
PT.
a couple local people.
Okay, so do you think a big factor in where you are now to where you were in college? Do you think Jason and Dathan's training has just been able to adapt you to that higher level of training, or because like if you look at Mike Smith and his guys, like I'd say that their intensity in training is similar, if not better than ours, and treatment-wise, like I feel like that's the only factor that's really come in to help you consistent treatment with Jason. And then we were also seeing Kip as well. Do you reckon that like those factors of consistent just treatment and check, like maintenance in the body, has made you been able to like for duration just keep going and reach these higher heights of being able to consistently train harder? Because like it seems like that's such a crucial factor that people like me personally wouldn't think about before becoming a professional athlete, is like that you're able to do is what you do is just from pure maintenance on the body from somebody like Jason, who just knows how to make sure that everything's like in place, like you said, structure-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, by no means am I blaming anyone
I'm not
at NAU. Like, I'm not saying that
they just
the
like
reason
similar.
I was in the cycle was because of Smith or anything. Like, I think he did an incredible job keeping me fit enough to contribute to the team and reach my potential with what we had to work with. And he was all about, like, he was super supportive of getting treatment and going to John Paul. But, you know, sometimes even that isn't enough.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a very difficult problem to solve.
Yeah, it's not something that... And he was super good about, like, adjusting the training for me. I mean, he's definitely, like, those guys seem like they train a lot, and they do, but they also want to train a lot. Like, he's very in tune with, like...
Each athlete.
Yeah. Like, he knew that I couldn't do as much of that stuff, and so I would just do what I could. And then, you know, if you want to do a lot and you can do a lot, he's all for it. Like, he's very supportive of that. And then, yeah, for me, it was, I think Jason was the main part of it. And yeah, there's a reason we think he's the magician there is.
Yeah. He's a
but
genius.
It still took him almost.
Yeah.
I don't even know, what are we talking, a year probably?
Well, I mean, like, we know the stories with Leah, our old teammate. Like, she was dealing with plantar stuff, like, after the trials, and Jason pretty much brought her career back to almost making the Olympic team in 2020. So, like, it's just, yeah, like, it is a process in time. It's just interesting for me, as an outside perspective, seeing Mike Smith's program and what we do professionally with this program. Like, they're pretty similar, like, training wise. Like, I feel like they're similar level. It's just, like you've said, a huge factor in is that the time that you put in with Jason to build your body up to that factor, you just weren't able to get that access in college. It's just too, like, it's unless Jason was like in Flagstaff, it's just almost impossible to do.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, like, getting out of an injury cycle doesn't mean you go from always getting injured to never being
invincible. Yeah.
It's like a progression. Like, instead of a stress fracture, you get a little niggle for a week or something. And then, like, last year I had 2 minor things. Like, when I had to miss pin relays, and in Serbia I had a little foot thing. But those were both, like, 5 to 7 day setbacks as opposed to, like, a season-ending injury. And then, obviously we haven't talked about it, but, like, the reason I flew freaking halfway across the world to see Jason last week because I had, like, a 5 to 7 day foot thing.
Yeah.
But you kind of make progress. Like, the cycle goes from 3-month injuries, and then you become more robust, and then you try and get to a point where if your body is breaking down, it's like a very minimal thing.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, I guess probably then the key takeaway, like advice, is to find someone that you trust, because there's not necessarily like a Jason everywhere, and you don't necessarily need a Jason everywhere, because, I mean, we're trying to train at literally like the highest level possible. That's our goal, but it's not like, I mean, you got to work up to that, and I think, you know, we put our bodies through a lot, and I mean, I think in most places there is someone out there, whether it's like your local physio or it's a chiropractor or maybe even like more like a strength trainer type person. There's normally someone out there who you can find who you trust, and I think trusting the person is probably the most important part of it. And so if you can have that good relationship with someone, you know, you kind of need someone to not hold your hand through it. But one thing that I realize when I stress about injury too much, it's just like, well, I mean, it's above your pay grade. Like you need someone else that has expertise in it. Like, you're the runner, you don't have the expertise in the injuries. I mean, you're the only one that can feel your body. So I think we would always say, like, taking responsibility for being able to know how your body feels and know what's good and what's bad. That's very important. But at some point, you have to offload the stress of worrying about the injury to someone else and let them take care of it. And if you have someone that you trust and then they tell you to go do something, it just, for me at least, like mentally, it makes it so much easier. So I think having people like that around you is very huge for getting through those injuries, because when you get like emotionally involved in it and stuff, it's like, it's really hard, and you just don't know what to do. Like, what I find really difficult, and I don't know if you this is like the way that you would ever think about this, George, is finding a way to like have like little wins. I think like confidence is something that's important in sport, and I think it's difficult when a lot of, like, if you have a great workout, you're going to feel really confident. Like, that's universal. But like relying on that to give you confidence and feel good can be difficult sometimes, because I mean, when you are going through injuries and stuff, you have to like completely readjust like your scale of like what's a little success, like what's a little win. And I actually find that difficult when I'm injured, to be like, what is like a tick for the day? Because going back to what I said before, if I have the mindset of, I hope my leg feels good today, and I turn up and my leg feels bad, then like that's a cross, you know, like that's not a tick. And then like that hurts your confidence and you feel bad. But say like you were kind of like more mature or whatever you want to call it, and you could think about that same day, like your leg is the same amount of sore, but you rested that day, you do literally nothing, and you could say that was a tick because my knee got better that day. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. Do you ever think about it like that, or not really? You kind of pass that. Because that's more like when you're actually dealing with.
That's probably when you do have something. Well, no, maybe you're right. I think it is important not to like to rate the whole day based off like going in with that attitude is dangerous, because then if you don't meet that benchmark you've set for like the first something you're trying to do that day, whether it's in the gym or even cross training or running, like if you set the bar that high, you're like, all right, I'm not going to feel that, and then that's going to be a good day, and then you do, and then you can easily write off the whole day as being like, oh, this is a waste or something. But
well, you do an amazing job at it if you actually think about it, because I would say if most runners did your training week, they would not feel like nearly as confident as you feel with your training week, because you only, I mean, what do you do right now? You run outside, you run the ground 5 days a week, right? Yep. Is that correct? If most pro runners only ran outside 5 days a week, they'd probably be like, fuck, I'm not fit right now.
Well, I can only think, I mean, like, particularly in your event, like, there are some freaks, like, in the 800 or 400 that, like, 400 sprinting, but 800, for example, is, like, they're only running maybe 5 days a week, but their training is very minimal and, like, very specific to 800, whereas, like, you're running, like, 5K, 1500.
Yeah, we're talking about, like, endurance training.
And, like, 5K, 1500 right now, the way it's run, is purely just, like, a lot of strength, a lot of mileage, a lot of volume, and the way you're able to know your limits, but also like know what's the ideal peak for you at this point in time with your body is 5 days a week, training at this level, and then treatment and the exercises you do in the morning. Like all those factors are just putting into like making sure that your body is going to be the best it possibly can when it comes to racing and getting on the line. And having that confidence in that is like, I feel like it takes time and experience for sure. Like for you, like it's been interesting to watch, because like people will obviously like, people don't, I mean, we talk about things and we're very open about it, but when people probably talk in their own groups, they're probably thinking like, George might say he runs that, but he could, maybe he runs 120 miles a week with Joe. And it's like, we're confirming right now that's not the case. Like, people say, oh yeah, maybe he does this, maybe he does that. It's like, no, like it's legit. Like that's how George trains, and it's really, it's quite cool and impressive to see, particularly for me, because like my knowledge of like training and running is pretty bad, and it's only gotten better from being professional, like seeing all the different elements of like Jason's treatment and like everyone else's training. So it's really it's quite interesting because not every runner is the same, and that's the cool thing about it is you take ownership of your own training, your own body, and your own like setup.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks, boys. Well, that would maybe be my advice then, is to find a system that you're confident in. If you are kind of stuck in going back to the injury cycle, finding a system that you're not comparing yourselves to everyone else on your training group. If you're on a high school team or a college team, like being able to find a situation where by the end of college, I was still running 5 days a week, and now on the other days I do a bit more on like a boost Ultra-G type thing, so it's a little more like running, but back then I was just cross training more, but I was able to find confidence in the other days and just, I don't know, talk myself around that, this was going to work for me, and that, everyone responds to training a little differently, and even now I can get a lot of confidence from a run like today. If I can do 16 miles with Joe and Ollie, even though yesterday I was on the boost, then, I kind of just zoned that one out, that I didn't run on the ground yesterday, but that today I can do a big effort with the guys that run more, and then, feel confident about that.
Yeah. It definitely makes a lot of sense. I mean, injuries suck. They're probably what I would say is the most difficult part of the sport, or definitely for me they are, but just in general, I mean, if no one ever got injured, imagine what that world would be like. We'd all be running so much and training so hard.
Yeah, it'd be a very different world.
It'd be a very different world. So injuries are very much so a part of running, especially when you're trying to push yourself. So learning to deal with injuries is, at the end of the day, going to decide a lot of your fate in terms of how good of a runner you can be, because those are some of the biggest challenges that you'll face. So yeah, I hope that that talk, you can get something out of it, because
nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has different experiences, and different people probably relate to different things that we said, but if any of it helps you, that would make us very happy. But yeah, that's just some of our experiences with injury and how we're doing. So yeah, I don't really know how we ended up talking about that. I guess we were just talking about how we're going, right?
Yeah, and then we went to your...
We just got through today.
Yeah, that's today.
That's today.
So that's what's going on with us today. I think we don't need to talk about this for very long, but I think we can share with our listeners our upcoming race schedules for the winter/spring. Does it go into the spring? It does go into the spring.
I would say it goes into the spring.
Yeah. So
in the spring.
Well, spring would technically be March
21st.
Spring's relative.
Spring is relative. March, okay.
Right?
Have we talked about this on the podcast? Why does season start on the 21st here and the 1st in Australia?
Because
what's the difference?
Americans want to be different.
What date does it start on in Europe, I wonder? Are they on our side or their side?
The 21st is just the solstice days.
Okay, so that makes sense, I guess. It's linked up with the moon,
but I don't know
the sun.
if that actually means that should be the start of winter.
Because, I mean, obviously ours is just convenience.
Yeah, it's just convenient when it starts on the
December 1st.
You just say.
It just makes it a lot easier. So
it does make it easier.
But I guess I'll go first. So our plans they're not crazy, but they're kind of cool, because we have a lot of cool races that we get to go and do. And I suppose hopefully this is the plan. I guess the only thing that would stop this from being the plan is getting injured or whatever. So hopefully everything is fine. But racing a 5K, is it January 27th?
Mm-hmm.
In
10
Boston.
days from today.
10 days, fuck. All right, we'll see what happens. But we're actually all going to Boston to race that.
Yeah.
Are you doing the 5K as well, George?
I think so.
Okay, so we're going to race. George and I are racing a 5K. I believe Ollie is pacing it.
I am pacing the 5K.
Are you going to stay in and just run super quick?
No, probably
Maybe.
not, because Ritz will call me a bad teammate. So I'll definitely not do that. I need to get some brownie points back with Ritz. So pacing the boys is an absolute privilege. So I'm going to be able to do that. Watch them crush while I jump off. I'm hopefully going to pace up to 4K.
That'd be epic.
And I'm probably gonna rock the little hat with some glasses and a t-shirt.
Did you say last time?
Yeah,
I love
It's
it.
a good look.
and then I'll probably grow out the mustache maybe.
And then crush a workout after it.
Probably we'll crush a workout afterwards. So
Joe,
I'll be there.
Joe
pacing.
crushed the workout when he paced us. In
I'm
Boston
pretty
last
sure.
time.
I'm pretty sure Joe. I mean, Jordy and I said this. I think Joe was in like sub 13 shape at that point in the year.
Yeah.
If he was running at Boston, obviously everyone knows that Boston's short, and it's worth about 20 seconds. So
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get to see because Joe's also racing the 5K and
he is.
he's very ready to go.
He's
I would
dialed
say.
in. Yeah, he's
So,
dialed in.
so this is going to be a big one. I think everyone knows. Yeah, go to BU, try run a quick 5K. I don't know why they always have to be early in the season. It's just like how it ends up being from
I think
convenience.
they
but, like,
are because they are mostly collegiate meets that pros just
Yeah.
happen to show up to.
like, why don't we just do it like later in the year when like we're peaking? How is that too
Instead
much to
of-
ask for?
Yeah. Instead of going outside,
Yeah.
we just go to BU in the summer.
Let's just do
I'm
that.
sure that idea has been thrown around.
Yeah.
I've
Sure.
heard a couple of years ago that the WCAP guys were going around a 10K in Boston.
That's
I
genius.
heard that.
That's genius.
I couldn't
Hopefully
think
we
of
do that.
And the
anything
spray.
worse. I couldn't think of anything worse than
50
running
laps.
a 10K on that 200 bank track.
You would
I
lose
would
your
Imagine
mind.
how fast you could go.
I'd rather
That's so
teabag a
fast.
cactus. I would not do that at all.
I don't know what happened to that idea.
We'll see
Obviously
how
didn't
desperate
happen.
we get. If I get really desperate to run a quick time, then
Then go.
I might in June. I might be in Boston. We'll see what happens. But so that's the first one on the schedule, and
So soon.
so soon.
Very
I'm feeling pretty apprehensive about it.
Yeah, it's
Just
same.
first VO2 rep of the season 2 days ago.
Yeah, you got to start
So-
somewhere. You got to race into fitness. This is when you can really use the rust buster excuse on social media. But
Oh yeah, so BU is our rust buster.
that's our rust buster. And then I think it's 2 weeks later is Milrose. Is that 2 weeks later? Or is it 3?
The 11th
Two.
of February. So
Mhm.
So we're going to Milrose as well. Wow, I didn't even realize that our schedules were so aligned.
They are, yeah.
So we're going to Milrose.
Yeah.
And obviously got a couple of boys defending some titles.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
We've got the mile and the 3K for these guys, and I'm also in the 3K. So
Josh Kerr's dodging Ollie this year.
Yeah.
I feel about that.
He's dodging. He's not just dodging me. He's dodging Mario and Yared as well because those two.
oh,
guys
that's
are
gonna be so
weapons.
stacked.
And Cole Hocker. He's dodging Cole Hocker because like if you look at the field and like just the amount of talent in there, like even the 3K too. Obviously, Josh is.
Can you bet
incredible
on Milrose?
Well, you
it's a
can't.
Good question.
Oh yeah.
Because you're racing.
Even if it's someone
that would
else's
be
race?
that would be illegal. I don't know if we could race on.
I want to
bet
bet on
Ollie's
these
race.
guys going 1, 2, 3. I'll put money on that.
I'm sure there's we could create a
I
market
wouldn't.
for
Yeah,
that.
I would say I would be very very confident to say we'd go 1, 2, 3, but I wouldn't know the order. Like because I feel like, I mean Yared is probably. I reckon like
These boys
pretty,
are crushing.
pretty dangerous at the moment. Mario is always going to be like not slept on, but I think Mario is going to be one of those guys that's going to be sneaky, you know, and he could come through with a win. And obviously Cole Hocker could be incredible as well. And there's like all those guys in the field that could also.
But these
put
races
out a
are
win,
so stacked because there's just. I think it's really just. Maybe this is the best it's ever been, but the amount of good professional distance runners, especially like on the slightly younger side, like coming through, like based in America, is like probably the best it's ever been right now. So both the mile and the 3K is absolutely stacked because the 3K has like all the good guys
Mm-hmm.
in it as well.
Cooper T is running it, right?
I
Is
think,
he running it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got leave from Bauman
Yeah.
for the weekend.
Yeah.
He's leaving Eugene. What the hell? What the hell? Wait till they put an indoor track.
Well,
there.
I feel like he needs to after last year.
What happened?
Want some
What George
redemption.
did to him last year, and what he did to Cole. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a great
the 3K
field, that
stack
3K. 3K's like
Louis G is in
Louis
it.
G, fourth at Worlds in the 5K.
Is Abdi in it?
He's not.
No. There's a lot of good guys in it.
There are a bunch of good guys.
And so we'll talk about that more as it comes closer. And then
Yeah.
after that is where our paths diverge.
Yeah,
We mentioned this before, but Ollie will be going from New York all the way back to Australia.
Should
So
we make it official?
Well, I don't know if we're allowed to make it official.
Are we allowed to make
I
it?
think they have to make it official.
I think they do, but
Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do by Thursday.
at this point, I'm planning on heading home to Australia to run in the relay with Stuart McSwain.
What we said
Jess
had to
Hull
happen
and Abby Caldwell.
happened.
Yeah,
Stewie won the trials, which was
convincingly.
an automatic spot, and then the second spot was up to selectors' discretion, and so they'll probably pick Ollie.
Yeah.
Maybe have already
Be
picked
pretty
Ollie.
silly not to.
So
Maybe I got an email this morning. Who's to say? Not me.
maybe you're
I didn't
already
say
picked.
anything.
Unofficial.
But in general, I have booked flights back to Sydney, so I'm heading back after being here for literally. I'd have been here for like literally not even like 2
I don't know
months.
how you do it, man.
And I'm heading back to Australia. I'm very excited to run like a world championship kind of event at home in a relay with a very, very stacked Australian team.
Such a good team.
Probably the best middle distance team, like relay setting. Best middle distance team
It's
Australia's
the
ever had.
Avengers. It's the Avengers of 1500 running.
And I
Seriously.
honestly like, because like Stewie's what 3:48 guy for the mile, right? It's a 2K relay. He's a 3:48 guy. I'm a 3:47 guy. You have Jess Hull, who's
Wait,
the
if you
Australian
went on
record holder.
1500 PBs, Stewie would have been ahead of you, right?
Yeah, 3:29, 3:30.
Just wanted to put that in.
Jess Hull, Australian record holder, weapon.
Well, did
just
she
got
get
married.
selected?
Congratulations, Jess. She
She
will
came-
get selected
she
because she
came
got second.
second.
And Abby Caldwell. Crap, I hope I'm saying her last name right.
I think that's correct.
Caldwell.
Caldwell.
Abby Caldwell, who's just recently signed with Puma. She won the trials. She's going to be going bronze medalist at comms. Really talented young lady
So
who's going to
crazy.
be the future.
2 sub 350 milers and 2 sub 4 minute 1500 goals.
Wait,
I don't know if
Okay.
Abby's sub
Who's she
4.
known as so for?
she's. I think she's
close
only
to
like
4.
402 or 403.
Yeah. Either way, though, she's probably
I messed that up.
she's probably sub 4 potential. But in general, crazy good team for Australia. So very exciting to be a part of that. I'll head home straight from New York, and I don't know if many people would know, but the trip from New York to Sydney is going to be fucking shocking.
Yeah.
I think it's like a 4 to 5 hour flight from New York to LA, and then a 15-hour flight to Sydney, and then I'll probably get in. A few days rest and then go to Bathurst, drive up there and race.
Yeah.
So very excited. That's when my pass to Verge. I go back down under.
Yeah.
These boys stay up top.
Yeah, we just come back here, I guess. And then, is that it for your indoor season, George? Or are you doing more?
Apparently that's it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a little sad about it though.
Surely
I want to
there's
run a
another race.
1500 or a mile. I'm told for it's there.
Well, I was gonna say when's the New Balance meet? When's
It's
that meet?
between Boston.
Oh, so that's
In
not
the
very
race.
good.
So not
Indoors
They don't
is weird
space
like
it out
that.
well, do they?
I don't know. Indoors feels so short this year. Maybe it's because there's no world indoors.
Yeah.
I
I
feel like it just ends.
Yeah, it's funny because like Wells is further away than Eugene. Eugene was I think a lot closer in the year than usual for World Championships, and now Budapest is in August, September,
It's pretty late in the year.
pretty late in the year. So it's interesting that there's not more indoor races leading up because I mean outdoor season starts for the Diamond Leagues. It's May, so you got April.
Well, there is
And
European
March.
indoors, and there was supposed to be world indoors, but it got cancelled for like the 20th year in a
20th
row
And
in China.
That was in China, yeah.
So I guess that's probably why there is nothing, because everything was blocked out for Europeans and worlds. That's probably why
Is
there
Europeans
is
still
nothing.
going ahead?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
in Turkey. I think it's the start of March. So that's probably why there's no races. If you went to Europe, maybe there'd be more races,
Mm.
but
That'd be a good time to just
train,
just grind, yeah.
just
Just
train.
freaking grind.
Just
bro.
grind it out, man.
bro.
Well, I mean,
Well,
we're
we
gonna
might
be
do a training camp in Flagstaff. Who knows?
grinding out here because,
We might go to Flag.
well, I wish.
We'll talk to
Flags
Dathan and
with
see if he wants to go to Flagstaff.
I remember last year when I tried to convince him to take us to Flag when Florida was so bad.
Well, remember when the
Remember
airport,
when we were talking about moving to Flagstaff
yeah,
every day?
the air quality was so bad. I remember Morgan came home and he's like, "That's it, I'm done. We're moving to Flagstaff." And then George's head just pops out of his
Someone
room.
say
going,
Flagstaff?
Someone say Flagstaff. Let's go.
Flagstaff has the same issues that Boulder has. That's the funny thing. Like they do. I mean, I don't think the air quality is as bad there, but they definitely have the same or similar snow issues. Maybe not as bad either, but they just got hit by so much snow.
Mm.
I saw that.
Mm.
I saw that.
I
on
bet
the,
that even means Sedona got hit by snow.
yeah.
We're
Everything's-
going back to the old school Flagstaff
Best
v Flagstaff v Boulder. Like who's better, who's worse?
Yeah.
And at this point, they're just the same.
Yeah. So.
What do you come
Anyways.
back here to gear up for?
Yeah.
One.
So then the next one on my schedule is
The big boy.
the 10K, which is
Sound running.
the start of March in California. Sam Clemente. Go out there.
We got to make sure we walk the course.
Yeah.
See if Jesse's nailed that.
See if it's 400
Is
meters.
it in the same track?
I hope it's short.
Yeah, so do I.
Well, I think they put.
I don't know
I
where
think
it
you
is.
put the hay bales.
There's hay
Yeah,
bales in
yeah,
this
hay
one.
bales.
There's hay bales in this one, yeah.
God damn it.
Jesse's
I'll go
making
around
sure.
it. I'll go around it still.
Jesse's making sure that it's going to be interesting for spectators. He's going to put hay bales in.
That's exciting.
Interesting thing as well for that 10K. I could be pacing it.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to Ritz about it.
What can't you do?
Well, the thing is right now is I
How many brownie points do you need?
I need a lot of brownie points with Ritz and OAC at the moment. So
He's
in general,
his running accolades aren't enough, I suppose.
yeah, in general, like I just got to make sure I'm proving my worth to on an OAC, and that the best way to do that is to get my teammates down to some world standards.
Yeah.
So, but no, just jokes aside. Obviously, I'm joking.
Yeah.
In general, Ritz and I talked about it because what better way to rely on a pacer than knowing like how that pace is going in training. So, if my training is the way it is at the moment, Dathan would like me to pace you guys to the 10K because obviously 10K is really crucial for pacing, and relying on a teammate is a lot more comfortable for him than trying to like pay someone to do it and then find out that they haven't been training for 2 weeks, which has happened before. So
That's not what you want.
that's not what you want. So I might be pacing for the 10K, obviously, depending on how Ritz and I feel.
Yeah.
But exciting.
So yeah, we
Exciting
got the 10K. That's like the 5K, 10K boys, the OAC, Joe Klecker, Jonas, and myself, I guess. We all have the same schedule.
Mm.
It's all the 10K, to be honest, is in a way the most important one, just in terms of the fact that like there's not many opportunities in the 10K, and technically the window for Paris qualification is already open. So
Wild.
yeah, if you did run really quick, you set yourself up really well for a long time. So that's obviously the goal for us. I guess we'll just see where we're at by then. But those are the ones that we're very excited to go and do. And then after that, actually, Ollie and I then realign as we go back to Australia. Hopefully,
going back for the what number are we at?
That'll be the third time.
Third time in like 3 months.
yeah, go back to Australia to race nationals, which is I believe either the end of March or the start of April. So that's our plans for
That's in Brisbane.
the next 3-4 months.
Yes, it'd be interesting turnaround. At this point, I should probably just rent a space on a plane and just live there.
It'd be cheaper.
It'd be a bit cheaper, but I'm excited to go back for nationals, particularly with Morgs.
Another title defense for Ollie. Well, I guess we'll talk about all this stuff in more depth as we get to it. This was kind of just like the brief schedule, but yeah, that's our schedules for the next few months, and then after that, just back here training for the long year ahead. And yeah, it's kind of an exciting time to race through like indoors. I think we all just love indoor races. They're always very fun, so it should be really good. Very excited to get going, and hopefully, everything goes well and we're just fit and ready to go. So that's it for us for the next few months. And yeah, I'm excited.
Indoors is freaking fun.
Yeah.
Such a good atmosphere. Track's always fun to go to. The trips are normally fun. It feels like less pressure because like the big meets are still like 6 months away.
It certainly
Definitely
is.
agree with that.
Yeah, but important in some ways because
Yeah.
you can achieve some amazing things in indoors, and obviously you can get qualifiers in indoors and all that. So that's really important if you can get that out of the way. So that's kind of our goals. But yeah, so that's a long debrief on us and what's going on with us. I think now we can look into what's going on in the world, which we're getting back into stuff. We've had a long time period where not really much has been happening in the track world. But one thing that was pretty interesting, which came out, for us, I think this news only came out today, but it's Marc Scott joining the NN team and being coached by Patrick Singh, who's Eliud Kipchoge's coach, and that's his team. Well, what is NN? NN's like some Dutch brand or something?
I think it's a Dutch bank.
A bank.
It's like a bank or a financial thing.
That's a nice sponsor.
Yeah, we should get
that's
that.
like some cycling shit, which is like a big ass company with heaps of money.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even really think about them because it's such a different universe to us, but I guess you would maybe say that that's like the best distance running team in the world. I don't know.
The best marathon team.
There's no power
for
rankings,
sure,
but for the marathon, yeah.
Anytime you have Kipchoge in your team, I feel like you immediately bump up in the rankings.
Yeah, we got to get that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure On is looking at him right now. Who aren't they looking at, to be honest? They're trying to swoop the market and get everyone they can possibly get, become the dominating force.
Yeah,
but
how many people do you think are on that team?
There's a lot. There's a lot that we wouldn't know. Like, I remember seeing videos of them running, right?
I don't know how it works in Kenya because they have these big kind of training camps where I think being part of a team and training with someone is a little more loose, if you know what I mean. I think the
just
training
like show up if you want.
Yeah.
If you have the tracksuit, does that mean you're in the team? Because I've seen people with the tracksuit.
I think you can buy the tracksuit.
Oh, you can buy it.
Well,
You could probably buy the tracksuit.
yeah.
Should I just buy it and just take off the Nike logo and put the On logo on?
Yeah, that'd be
On
crazy.
in.
That'd be crazy.
Actually, that actually sounds pretty cool. On in.
So, but I mean, just looking at Marc Scott is very interesting. We mentioned a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, that he was leaving Bauman, which is always interesting. There was a really good interview that he did with Let's Run, and I would encourage everyone to go read it, because Let's Run don't shy away from asking him kind of those questions about Bauman, about his situation, and he's very candid in his responses.
Yeah.
He doesn't hold back at all. It's very kind of what everyone's thinking, but you wouldn't expect them necessarily to say it. They're literally like, he literally is saying like, yeah, like everyone was really unhappy that we moved to Eugene. And he says like, yeah, he was concerned that with the move to Eugene, Jerry wouldn't be as focused on them, and they would like fall to the wayside a little bit. So he's very like candid with all that, and it like makes a lot of sense for him. I think he's 29 years old, and he's kind of just saying how he's achieved what he's wanted to achieve on the track, and he has had an amazing few years. I think he struggled a bit in outdoors last year due to some illness and stuff, but his indoor season was amazing because he ran 12:57 and bronze medalist in the 3K, and then his few years leading up to that were pretty amazing. So he had some freaking, like, Bauman clearly worked very well for him.
100%.
Very successful.
It's very interesting because when I spoke to him at Commonwealth Games, and I was very like upfront asking him like, oh, how do you feel about the move and everything like that, and he was very, very upfront in the same, like, yeah, not a fan of it, don't want to move to Eugene, like, I like the setup that we had. And to say it on Let's Run, just to be honest about it, I feel like a lot of respect for that, because it is easy to kind of hide behind just like, oh, I wanted to change, I wanted a new thing, but you can tell that the Bauman system and program has worked extremely well for him. So to see him like say, yeah, didn't like to move to Eugene, this is going to be a better situation for me moving forward. Is he going to be based, is the team based in Kenya?
Yeah, so the way he said it, which I think this could change, I think he's going to be split between Kenya and like UK.
Okay.
Because I think maybe it'll be more like going there for training camps and stuff, which, I mean, I think a lot, well, I mean, he's very used to going on training camps. When you say going on training camps, I don't know if that means like going a month training camp, so like 5-month training camps. I know in Kenya that's how they do it. Like when they train, they're on training camp mode. I mean, maybe they have like a house near there, but they stay in like, from what I've seen, they stay in kind of dorm type setup, and it's like pretty full on. So it is kind of crazy to think about that. That's what his life is going to be like now, because it's very different. But I think it is very cool that he has the opportunity to kind of move back home and still continue being a professional runner, because that's something that we've mentioned that we would love to do if it's possible at some point. And it makes a lot of sense moving up to the marathon to do that and to be part of this training group. I know like he loves to train really hard, and these guys just grind like none other from what we've seen. So yeah, it's like weird, but it actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. The move.
And he's not the only British guy on the team, is that right?
They have, yeah, there's that
at least Jake Smith.
Yes,
he's on it. He's been on it for like a year.
Well, Jake Smith is known for his Strava because it's the most ridiculous workouts ever.
Really?
Like
I think I've heard someone say that before. His
workouts are so crazy. I don't even know exactly what his PBs are. I guess we could look them up, but if you check out his Strava, he's done some crazy shit.
Should he get sponsored by Strava then? Because I feel like he'd be a big.
Should he get sponsored by Strava?
He should get sponsored by Strava.
Probably.
Well, it's interesting now because you remember when good old days where Ritz was like, "Hey, let's do a training camp in Kenya."
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
To be fair, I think we've mentioned doing a training camp in every single continent.
That is true, but it's interesting now. Like, do you think it's because you know how? I guess that's not true.
It's really. I was about to say
like there's like trendy, like, you know, when in the running community, particularly in the running, like people start doing something, then everyone starts following it. Double threshold. In general, I could see the trendy thing of like going to Kenya now to do a training camp, because like I've seen certain people on Instagram are now doing training camps in Kenya, and I feel like that could like grab some trendy.
Well, it's actually been done for a long time.
Trending
for Europeans. It's pretty normal. It's pretty normal because to
like
go to
Americans
Africa.
not as
Well,
It's much more accessible from Europe too. Like
Yeah.
the time change is almost negligible.
That's the big difference.
What's the time change here in America?
It's a lot.
Fucking heaps.
It's a lot. And like I think to travel from America to Kenya would be a crazy trip. I think it's just a lot easier coming from
Do you reckon
Europe.
we could stay at Helen's?
Probably. If we asked very nicely, we
Yeah.
could stay at her mansion. I don't know if she has a mansion. I just assume.
Yeah, I assume she would mention. I'd love to stay there.
We stay at Kip's place.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
At the
Apparently, he
school.
said there's lions in the backyard though. I'm not a fan of that.
Lions?
Yeah, he's like this. I remember when he was treating me once, he said that there was like just a lion just sitting out in front of his house. So
He does like to.
that's pretty cool, but also pretty terrifying.
He does like to call good athletes lions and lionistas. So
Lionistas.
maybe it was just like joke like it was back there. There's a
He
lion
was
in the
actually
backyard.
just a super good athlete. He was out there.
It was Joe.
That'd actually be great if you just referred to people's lions like that.
Yeah. Look, I don't really feel like it makes sense to go to Kenya from America, apart from like if you just want that experience.
What's the altitude?
I think it's like higher than here
I think it is.
where they train, but I think it's probably Flagstaff.
I remember
or
Ritz-
here.
Ritz explaining, like, you guys can correct me obviously because this is probably going to be a lot of rubbish. But I remember Ritz explaining there's a different type of altitude
People
in
say
Kenya.
that.
in Kenya. I don't know what the fuck that means because altitude to me is altitude. It's really hard and the recovery is just going to be, a little longer. But apparently, because I remember when Kipsang ran 331, right? And he ran it at altitude and like the conversion was like 325 or some ridiculous shit. And then Rich was like, no, you understand. It's a different type of altitude. And I was like, I don't know what that fucking means because altitude is altitude. You're pretty high up. You have less oxygen in the air. Is that correct or not correct? I don't know.
I think it's correct, but there's a bit of myth in the running world that the altitude feels different based on how far away from the equator you are.
Okay, so that's the reasoning.
That's
Yeah.
I
And they're
don't.
saying because the Kenyan altitude is closer to the equator,
It's not as challenging.
It's not as.
That sounds stupid to me because it sounds like,
I think someone probably just made
Someone
that
might
up.
check the facts on that.
I don't know. It sounds stupid. I feel like if you're at altitude, it's going to be fucking hard.
I'm sure it is very hard.
I mean, there's people that can perform better at altitude than not, obviously. Like, there are those people.
Well,
out
once
there that are
Kenya
freaks.
wins the bid for Worlds in Nairobi,
That
we'll go
I
find
don't know if
out.
that will happen because Marcel Jacobs went for that invite, like, I think last year.
they had
some
a
point,
gold label.
and he didn't race because he got food poisoning.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
So it's not looking good for them at the moment. If like the world Olympic, well, sorry, not the world champ, world champ indoors, the Olympic champ in the 100 meters gets sick and can't compete. It's not a great situation, but I'm sure like they will eventually because I think they're putting a lot of money and resources into trying to get.
They hosted
some
World
majors.
Juniors a couple of years ago.
They did,
So they're trying, like the World Cross was in Uganda like 3 or 4 years, 5 years ago maybe.
Would be cool to run in Africa.
Would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. I guess the one to tick that one off is to go race it. Is it Rabat?
About Morocco.
Because that's Africa.
That was
True.
sick when the steeplechaser, I can't remember his name.
Al-Bakali.
Won and like went and saw the like all the like into the crowd and like everyone was going. "Ah." That's sick.
What a
That was
legend.
Well, it was like the president was there or something. Like it was some.
I think
Yeah,
I
I
think
loved
the
it.
head of the state was.
He must be
there.
pretty famous there.
Oh, sure.
I would imagine. Like, I mean, I guess whatever country you're in, if you're he's an Olympic gold medalist, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're gonna be pretty famous, unless except for America, because
Oh,
they just take it for
Because
granted.
well, there's so many Olympic champs.
Yeah, and Australia too.
Who are you talking about? If you win a gold medal in Australia, you're like set for life.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you win a
Oh, I'm thinking
games gold,
maybe world champs.
world champs less.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Maybe thinking world champs.
But don't
Like-
worry, I think you're gonna get looked after for your
No.
Com Games gold.
no, I'm just thinking.
I
in
thought you
general.
were a celebrity. Aren't you a celebrity now?
Uh,
You told me you were a celebrity.
I felt like one when I was home.
Did
It
you
was
go on?
very,
A
very
did you go
lovely.
on a speaking tour when you were home?
No, I didn't. I mean, I don't think people would want to hear what I have to say, to be honest.
I think that would
I
very
talk a
much
lot of
so.
rubbish. But no, it was very nice being home because it was definitely the classic, like you'd walk down the street or like down like a, I don't know, like a public area and people would like look. And
Oh my god, that's
do the
all
double
you
look, yeah.
Oh my
You're
god.
like, who is
He's
that?
so
Is that
hot.
Is that Keith?
Is that
Is
Keith
that
Keith
Keith?
Squeezy? That
Oh my
was the
God.
greatest thing when I was back racing. No one referred to me as Ollie. They all referred to me as Keith, which I thought was very, very lovely.
Yeah.
But in
so
general,
legendary.
yeah, you're probably right about the Olympic thing. World champs, maybe not so much.
World
in
champs
Australia.
definitely doesn't get the attention, which is we always talk about how it's just like a shame that it's not like a big deal, but it's just the way it is in our sport, you know.
Yeah, hopefully Sepco can fix that.
In Seb we trust.
Instead, we try.
But yeah, so that's Marc Scott's move, which mostly I'll just say go read the interview if you really care. But it is very cool that he's able to make that transition, and he's moving to the roads, obviously. So, gonna make.
How do you reckon he'll go on the roads?
I got no idea. He's run half
already
marathons.
run like some good Great North type runs.
Yeah.
I feel like all
Like
the
a
Brits do
10
those runs, eh?
Yeah, I think
Like,
they
I
get.
wouldn't be surprised to see Jake Wyman do it this year.
Jake Wyman.
Like,
I would love to see
like
that.
just to be honest, like every Brit does it. Like
Yeah.
next thing you know, you see Wyman running like 59-minute half.
Yeah. I think Mark would do very well in the marathon just
Yeah.
based on he's like just the type of runner he is. He's just a grinder, small guy. It makes sense, I think. I think the marathons can be
Small
unpredictable,
school,
but
big dreams. Yeah.
yeah, I think he's gonna crush it. Small school, Tulsa. Is Tulsa a big
Tulsa's
school?
a small school, I feel.
It's probably
Isn't
small. It's in Oklahoma, I think. How big can it be?
No.
I'm not
Shout
sure.
out Tulsa.
I'm not sure. But so that's really the only running news I think we wanted to talk about. I think the rest of the show we just do a couple of Q&A. We had a couple of fun ones. You guys ready?
Shoot me.
This is just like a very random one. I'm not going to shoot you. I can't do that. Not live.
Is that what they say? Oh no, shoot.
Yeah,
Not shoot me. Sorry.
All right.
Got too real.
Got too real then.
Who is the most likely on our team to stop on a run to go to the bathroom?
Yao Nagus. Like hands down.
Yeah.
The guy has to shit
I
like
knew
4
that.
times a run. It's a 5-mile run.
I knew that was an easy one.
Yeah, but he's gotten a lot better though. I think.
Do you remember that one time, like, I think it was the summer, a year and a half ago, where George went to the toilet so many times on one run?
Like a pee?
Yeah.
You do piss a lot.
Probably.
man.
I pissed twice this morning.
Twice.
Ollie didn't piss once.
Very
No,
impressive.
I pissed once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I pissed the first time. The second time you pissed again, and I was walking around.
I do have to pee on runs a lot.
Me too.
That means you just like your body's in a better position than mine is, because I felt.
But like, I only had coffee this morning, I think. I don't think I drank any water.
Yeah.
either.
I had 2
That's
coffees
impressive.
and a strudel.
Where does that
You're
liquid go?
ready to go.
Huh?
Where does that liquid go?
Right here, baby.
He just
hang on to
he
it.
just holds all the water.
I retain water.
Very good.
Well,
at
the thing
retaining.
is, like, I don't feel like I sweated that much on the run. So
So you're really just retaining it all then,
yeah,
is what you're saying.
yeah.
I think that's how
But
that works.
in general, it's gotten a lot better at that. But I feel like most of the time it's pretty even, because we're all like piss or like the boys will have their little boy break.
Yeah, well, for anyone who's running, we have essentially
We
scheduled toilet breaks. Like on all our routes, it's a little bit different right now because we run in
we're
different
like
places
dogs.
more
We
often.
have
But
certain spaces that we like pee at.
Certain
well, when
trees,
when it's the summertime or the fall and we can run like the same routes every day, we stop at the exact same spot
We're
every
like
time.
dogs, yeah.
So it's always kind of
Normally
like
somewhere with a
scheduled.
good view.
Yeah,
Because we have box.
A lot of pretty views out there.
F1
Yeah.
reference. And then we go
So yeah, that's kind of how we do it. So we all pee as a team.
pee. Yeah, we're a community.
Yeah. The other funny question was related to Mountain Dew. It was, does Mountain Dew taste different in the US compared
Yes.
to Australia?
It does.
How's it different?
So Mountain Dew Energize is the Australian version. It's in a different bottle. It's like thinner, and the bottle's extremely green. But if you pour it out, it looks kind of a bit more translucent. So the reason why that is the coloring's different. And in the American one, they have this beautiful thing called high fructose corn syrup, which is extremely bad for you. Can cause increased rate of diabetes. It can cause cancer.
So it can like everything else in Mountain Dew.
Yes, everything else. That's just a little factor of it that's not in the Australian one. So the Australian one's called Mountain Dew
There's
Energize.
no high fructose corn syrup in the Australian one.
No, it's banned in Australia. That's why our
Really?
Holly's taste different.
I don't know. I'm not the expert.
It's banned in Australia.
Ollie is
Always
the
the
expert.
expert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and did I tell you guys I signed a Mountain Dew bottle?
Yeah.
For a fan. It's unreal.
Legendary.
That's the
I
third
thought
time.
I thought you were gonna say I signed a Mountain Dew deal.
yeah.
Oh,
Don't
no.
get us
I
I
excited
got
like
so
that.
excited. For
That's been punted at the moment. We're gonna activate
it's
that.
in,
at some
it's in the
point.
pipeline.
Yeah, it's in the pipeline. I've signed in my career at the moment. I've signed 3 Mountain Dew bottles or cans.
That's
Once
awesome.
at National.
Pretty good numbers.
in Australia. The other one at that when we did the magazine launch with New Gen, a kid came up to me with a Mountain Dew can. I signed that.
Cali.
And then in Devonport, handicap mile. So at this point in time, it's pretty cool that
Just keep
I'm
'em coming.
signing Mountain Dew bottles. But that's the difference. And I do what do I prefer?
Mm.
Obviously the American one, because it's way
Of
more
course.
worse shit and it
Of
tastes
course.
way more better. But the one thing that I kind of loved was my brother has started to drink a lot of Mountain Dew. And his reasoning
Great
behind
influence.
it is like, well, my brother's a Commonwealth Games champion, so why wouldn't you drink it?
It
He just
works.
scolds it at work.
Crispy.
this is-
Come on.
Maybe you can talk slightly related. Another question about Mountain Dew is how does it impact your running?
I think positively.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, you know how you guys talk about like putting your body through stress? Yeah. So like instead of me like getting treatment and doing all the little things, I put my body through stress in a different way, which is
forcing it to
adapt to terrible food and soft drink. So soda. So
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
At this point in time, it's working, but I know at the age of 50, I might be stuck to a machine.
It would have been a good life though. So
live fast.
Live fast, die young. I feel like
the Young Brothers. Run fast.
Run fast
while you're
young. Are we talking about Nico Young right now?
Run fast. Live young. What is it?
Is this their merch?
Yeah.
Run fast, be young.
I'm not sure.
We should just buy some of their merch.
Let's get Nico back on the show and we can ask him what their merch is.
We can confirm.
Yeah, but that is
So positive.
Positive for me.
Positively. Yeah. Do you think it would? Do you think like that's universal? Or do you think that's specific to you that it would have a positive impact on? Like, would you recommend it for others?
No.
Okay.
I think personally,
you got to know your limits.
My emotional state. I'm a very emotional person, so I feel like if I'm emotionally happy drinking a really bad soda, it's going to affect me positively in a good mindset leading towards a workout or a run or whatever. I'm like happy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I don't have it, I'm unhappy. And that's the one thing that factors into it, right? If I didn't know Mountain Dew existed, then it wouldn't matter. But I do know it exists, and it's just the sweet nectar of my life. So, in general, I don't think people should just bring up the habit of drinking Mountain Dew. But the one habit I have...
So you wouldn't recommend anyone start it, but once you start it,
there's no going back.
There's no going back.
It's like smoking. But in general, I have started a new addiction, which I haven't been able to get my hands on until... when I came back here, is Fisherman's Friend.
What is it?
Have you heard of the
Fisherman's
Friends?
Aren't they like an anti-nausea?
They're a mint, really strong mint, and they taste terrible, but they're so good.
I thought you were supposed to take them when you go on a boat for like seasickness.
No,
isn't that why they're called Fisherman's Friends?
I've been popping those like candy.
Or did I just make that up?
Well, it would make sense. I'm gonna look them up, but I've never seen you have one, Ollie.
No, because I started it going because my brother got really addicted to it. Then he gave me a couple of packets of Fisherman's Friend, and then I've been really addicted to them.
Is it an Australian thing or an American thing?
You can get it in the US. Yeah, he told me, but I haven't been able to find it.
Fisherman's Friend cough drops. I've definitely seen these. I remember. I'm pretty sure like one year, I got a packet of this in a Halloween thing, and I was really disappointed.
Yeah, so the thing is, my grandfather used to have them all the time. It was like an old man's mint kind of thing. And then my brother, to waste time at work, he used to go up and just buy random shit at the local corner shop. And he just like was looking for the cheapest thing, and it was Fisherman's Friend. And then ever since then, he's been addicted to them.
Wow, this actually sounds pretty good. It's a mixture of licorice, eucalyptus, and menthol.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was originally a liquid, but I think it was just to help fishermen's like throats. I don't know if it was related to nausea or just like something.
Maybe I did make that up.
Something about it's a throat and chest lozenge. So that's its origin story at least.
So your throat's feeling pretty good?
Oh, unreal. Yeah. You know what I used to do, which was shocking? I'm going to say it in the pod now and don't regret it. I used to have a mint with a beer.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it felt so good when I drank the
combo.
Beer. Yeah. So I'd have like.
Did it make the beer better or the mint better, or just the overall experience?
The overall experience,
synergy,
like the feeling of it, and when you drink it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'd have a pint of beer, and it'd be like a pint of like VB or something, and then I'd have a Fisherman's Friend with it.
Maybe that would improve VB then.
You know what I can weirdly relate to that is, I used to sometimes after I brushed my teeth, I would eat an orange.
Oh, more.
And I would actually enjoy it.
That's fucking psycho, bro.
And I would actually like enjoy it.
Have you ever?
No, a very different sensation.
It probably breaks down so much in there, more. It's gonna be so good.
Have you ever brushed your teeth and then just drank like a soda?
Can I just be honest? Almost every night I brush my teeth and I just go to bed and eat a bunch of chocolate.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm getting anything out of brushing my teeth.
If your dentist listens to our podcast, he's going to be so pissed.
My dentist is chill. He wants actually be happy because then he's going to be getting more business. if you think about
Well,
it.
my dentist was pretty chill too, but do you guys always get the thing? Okay, this is a random side topic, but do you guys get all the thing in the dentist where like they'll ask you how you're doing, but you got like 7 things shoved in your mouth, and you're like, and they're like saying like, so how's the US going? And you just can't answer it because there's like a tube in there, and there's like.
And then as soon as you start
so
talking, they're like,
disgusting.
no, stop talking.
Yeah.
It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Open your mouth.
I love that every time I go in, he's just like, "Have you been flossing?" I just go, "No," and then he flosses me. Like, I mean, I don't. I actually have. I've started flossing like once a week.
Really?
Yeah.
I tried
It's
doing
not
it,
bad.
and I just couldn't be bothered.
No, because when he did floss me, my mouth.
Wait, can you the way you said that when
He
he
flossed
did
me.
floss me?
So I was bent over on the table and he
God.
flossed me, and my gums bled so much. So he's like, "Yeah, your gums are very inflamed. You should floss." I'm like, "Yeah, if I'm like bleeding this much from flossing, like it's probably a bad thing. So I should probably start doing
No,
a
I
little
think-
bit."
No, you
Yeah.
should probably not floss because it'd stop you from like you're bleeding when you floss. So
No, but if you
No,
do
I
it
think that means
consistently,
there's something wrong with your gums, so that means you need to do it more.
yeah,
That's
if you
like
do
what
it consistently,
gum disease is, I
if
think.
you do it consistently, then the
They don't
inflammation
bleed.
goes down and they don't bleed anymore. So that's where I'm at now. They don't bleed anymore. So I have healthier gums than I once did
That's huge.
3 weeks ago.
then you can have your fisherman's friend now.
And now it's fine to eat chocolate after I brush
As long
my
as you
teeth.
floss, then
As long
can
as you
eat
floss.
chocolate.
I mean, that whole industry is probably just a scam. Like braces. I got braces when I was younger. I don't think they did anything for me.
You got nice teeth.
My bottom ones are not great.
Yeah, neither.
I went when the very same dentist appointment. He's like, "Yeah, you probably should have got an expander in your mouth when you were younger." I was like, "Well, that doesn't help me at all."
Why are
That
you
just-
fucking telling me now?
That just makes me disappointed.
I reckon wisdom teeth removal is a scam.
Well, I still
Just-
have mine.
Yeah, so do
I
I.
have
And
mine
then
as well.
Alicia was like trying to tell me that everyone needs to get them out, and I was like, "Doug,
Is she a dentist?
Pretty sure you've been brainwashed by
Yeah.
your dentist because they can just charge you a bunch of money."
Well, her teeth are quite like she's got chompers. Alicia, she's got big teeth, very nice teeth.
Yeah.
But
Did
she's,
she get her wisdom teeth
I'm pretty
removed?
sure she did.
And
She
so
did.
did
Well,
Ben,
she's
I
got,
think.
like,
they've
I
all
think-
been brainwashed into thinking.
See,
that
I have a
they need
small
it.
jaw. I think Alicia has like a pretty big jaw.
I
Or
don't
maybe
know.
she has a small jaw. I don't know.
I still have
I
my
don't know how it
wisdom
works.
teeth.
I still have mine too.
I feel okay.
My brother has to get his out though because they're like literally like angling in a really bad way where like his teeth are going to be like all crooked and stuff. So
Well, how
yeah,
did people survive before they started the procedure of wisdom teeth removal?
They just died.
They just died.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
I think you weren't meant to.
I guess
survival
you
of
didn't.
genetics.
Yeah, I guess you didn't live for long enough for your teeth
Yeah.
to get fucked up. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. You just died from something else.
From diarrhea or something.
Yeah, probably the Black Plague or whatever they had back
Spanish flu.
then. Yeah,
I wonder who was the first person to have their wisdom teeth removed. Like, who thought of that?
Oh fuck! I can't. I
a
feel
great
so
question.
bad for that poor sucker that had to do it because there's probably no pain relief.
yeah.
It's just straight in, like take him out. Oh, man.
Probably in the Middle Ages, they probably had someone who like had a really sore wisdom tooth, and they just got like a
Chisel.
Some pliers.
so, yeah, they probably just ripped it out, and like then he died
Oh my god.
from all the blood coming
Well,
out.
that's one thing that I noticed. Just taking it back to running. If your teeth are feeling good when you're a runner, I feel like you're just in a better situation. Because I remember Carlos having to get a root canal, and his teeth were feeling bad. And he couldn't even train. Like
Yeah.
he was in such a bad state. So it's funny how your teeth have an effect on your body as an athlete. Because when I was talking to my dentist about it, he's like, it's really important that you keep your teeth clean
Of course, he would say that.
because apparently the amount of carbs that we intake as well is really bad for our teeth. Particularly like
Particularly if you drink a lot of Mountain Dew.
yeah, well,
particularly
if you drink a lot of those sports things and you take all those gels, which I don't do because I look after my body.
I don't drink Gatorade.
I don't drink those supplements and take all those gels and stuff that all the other runners do because I look after my body. But in general, like a lot of that stuff is a lot of like, yeah, it's really bad for your teeth. So he said, and when your teeth are like, when you're in pain in your mouth, like it affects your whole body, your mood, everything. So
I think that's
I'm
pretty well done.
team brush teeth before race. I feel like most people.
I do that too, yeah.
I
I
don't.
know Ollie is.
I don't.
Yeah, because my old head director coach at Trinity, who's Rowan's coach, Rowan Browning, 100-meter sprinter, mullet man, he brushed his teeth before he used to jump. And I think the best brush he ever had was when he got bronze at Worlds. So
How
I
do
did have
you
a good
define
brush.
what constitutes the best brush he ever
How
had?
clean were your teeth when you won Congan? That must be.
I did brush.
Yeah.
I mean, they were decently clean. I mean, at that point, I didn't even think about my teeth at that point. I was more thinking about just
Just running
going to the
fast,
pub.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, clean teeth. I think that is like, yeah. I think having issues with your teeth does affect your overall body a lot. is what I've heard,
Mm.
at least.
Would you call Carlos's root canal injury in running? Like you know how you injury like my injury.
Yeah, he couldn't run.
Yeah,
he couldn't run. Therefore, it was an injury.
It's an injury out of the sport, you know.
Yeah,
It's
but
just funny how it comes full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
We might have to check in. Maybe we have to get him on, ask how his marathon training's going.
What is he? What marathon is he running at the Austin?
Austin Marathon, but I don't know if he's doing it anymore. Just based purely, not off what he said, but just based off following him on Strava.
Strava? No, it's been pretty empty.
Didn't he say he came back and then I think Joe posted it and screenshot it?
He hadn't run, or he hadn't uploaded a run to Strava for so long that Strava does like a thing where it's like celebrated this person.
It was like, welcome Carlos back to Strava.
Yeah, so I don't know how long you need to not run for it. Hopefully, we never hit that goal.
Remember when he ran 147 on the roads for an 800?
Vividly.
That'll go down in OAC lore.
That's OAC, yeah. That's OAC fandom right there.
That's history. Not many people probably even know about that one, but that was very special. But yeah, man, what an episode. Is there anything else that we want to discuss? We've covered, I think, every topic possible so far.
Pretty good place to leave it.
Yeah, I'd say a pretty good place to leave it.
Full circle. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you everyone very much so for listening. We'll see you all next week.